Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best and worst of Walt Disney World, brought to you by Dreams Unlimited Travel Experts, helping you plan the perfect Disney vacation. If you like all the content you see on our Diz Unplugged and Diz YouTube channels, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel to book your next vacation. It will cost you nothing, and it helps support the show. I am your host, Ryan O'Clavin, and in this week's episode, we are going to be talking about our best character interactions. And to help me have this conversation, we've got the one, the only, Julie Martin.
Hi, y'all.
Jackie Gailey.
Hey, guys.
And, of course, Craig Williams.
Oh, oi, oi.
Well, like I said, we are going to do best character interactions. I didn't want to call it best character meet and greets because I think mine is not an official meet and greet. So mine's more like you got to catch them, but it's totally worth trying to catch them. But since this is Julie's first time on the show, Julie, why don't you go first?
Okay. I think I've had, like you, I may not know the names of places, so
that's
please
okay.
bear
I don't
with
know
me.
any names of anything.
One of my very favorite character interactions that we ever had was with Wreck-It Ralph. And I don't know if we were at Epcot or if we were at Hollywood Studios, so either way. But he was super, without being able to talk, super loving and interactive towards both Ferris and Finley. Finley was a little bit afraid, but Ferris was very into it. And when we went to leave, Ralph tried to leave with us. He grabbed Ferris's hand, and as we were leaving, was trailing behind us. And the character was like, no, Ralph, you can't leave. And it was the cutest thing ever. Oh my gosh, it was so fun. For Finley, we had a Snow White meet and greet at Epcot, over in Germany. Mm-hmm. And we had waited, and it was also a very incredible meet and greet. I think Finley may have been 3 or 4 at the time, but it stands out so much because I feel like she really took her time with each child and wasn't rushing through. It also wasn't summer. It wasn't a really long line, but helped her practice her curtsy, and they spun in their dresses, and just the sweetest Snow White ever.
Was it by the Wishing Well?
Yeah, it was. And then also Sleeping Beauty. This was last year with Ferris in France. Okay, the boy loves a princess. He loves a girl. I mean, let's just say it. And when he sees Sleeping Beauty, the long hair and everything, and I mean, you can just see the adoration in his eyes, and she ate it up and hugged him and, did the whole he's a little prince. And I have all these wonderful photos of that interaction. So that really was special to me. I kind of like the ones at Epcot a little better. Mm-hmm. I like their outdoors, first of all.
Yeah. Because
sometimes your character meet and greets, their queues are not so great, unless you're meeting Anna and Elsa, which is a fabulous queue. And I do love their meet and greet. They're always extra special with your children. They tend to kind of notice, if they're wearing something Frozen inspired, they'll speak about it, or they may compliment anything they have on. It's always very sweet and airy and light in that meet and greet, in my opinion, And I like how the sisters interact as they're, oh no, it's still my turn, you can't have them yet, sort of thing. So I always enjoy those.
Oh yeah, and I'm with you too. There's something about when you meet when you see the princesses or whoever, Aladdin and Jasmine or anybody out at Epcot, where it kind of feels like you found them. And even though if it's a designated station, it just feels like in that photo you're look, I was kind of walking through this magical land, and I found them. And in some cases I found Snow White with the Wishing Well. You're what a photo op, And
yep.
I do agree with you. Years ago, I waited with my niece in line for Tinkerbell, and this was I don't know, this might be 10 years ago when they're still fairly newer at the Magic Kingdom. I think it was Tinkerbell and the other friends, and the queue to wait for it was this tin building, and it was terrible. But then once you got in the room where they were, it was cool. But the wait to get up there was just I think we waited for an hour and a half or something insane like that.
That's how I feel about Inside Out. We never actually waited to meet them because, first of all, it was always so long, so many people, and that queue, it's horrible. It's you're just surrounded, where it used to be an Epcot anyway, there were just walls.
Yeah.
And people.
Yeah. I hate those kinds. It stresses me out.
Me too.
Do you have a favorite character interaction for you? That one that you enjoy?
Oh, yeah. You've never heard this story?
Oh, no.
Mine's at Disneyland. It was Captain Jack Sparrow.
Oh.
I was in New Orleans Square in the jewelry store there, and they have really beautiful rings and things in there. And I was looking at a green garnet. I love garnets. It's Ferris's birthstone, and I'd never seen a green garnet. And all of a sudden, like, there's someone behind me, like, really close, inappropriately close, and it was not Corey. I was kind of like, what the, And all of a sudden I hear, would you like me to steal that for you? And I was like, oh, Captain Jack. I was like, could you? And we had a little interaction and some banter, and nothing will ever top that for me unless I meet Johnny Depp in character.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Because, and this particular Captain Jack was incredible. He looked like Johnny Depp. He's fully made up. He had the extra eyes and everything on.
Oh, that's cool.
But yeah, that will never, ever top anything for me.
I do love at the Magic Kingdom when they do the pirate stuff there, and they kind of like, he'll wander out, like you can see them starting the show, but then you see Jack like saunter out past pirates and like up toward the stage, and everyone, I love watching him kind of come up behind people unsuspectingly and just saying his comments, because he's saying something funny that they can't always react to quick enough. So I like to just watch him. Like
and I think that's what he did to me, is he knew, when he came in that close, I'm thinking it's probably another guest, like, what? And then noticing that it's him. I mean, they probably walk around looking for opportunities to surprise people. They're not looking for those people who are like, oh, me.
Yeah. Well, Jackie, what about you? You got a favorite character interaction?
I do. So my very favorite character interaction happened on our first trip to Walt Disney World. And we had flown in from Seattle, and we landed at 4:00 or so. And we had a reservation at 1900 Park Fair that first night. And so we had no idea what to expect, because we had only ever been to Disneyland. So the only character interactions we had were with, Goofy and Mickey and everybody, where you don't actually see their faces. So we get to 1900 Park Fair.
That is their face? I don't know what you're talking about.
I know. But not face characters.
I know what you're saying. Yeah.
They're real, by all means. So we sit down and we're eating and whatever. We had already gone up to the buffet once, and we were sitting down, and the characters were, kind of mingling and everything. Prince Charming and Cinderella had already come to our table, and it looked as though it was going to be a few minutes before another character came. So I was like, okay, I'm going to go get some more of whatever, and I'll be back in a minute. So I'm up at the buffet, and I'm getting some more food, and I hear someone screaming my name throughout the entire restaurant. And it's this horrific screeching sound that, you feel like there's something wrong. But they were just yelling my first name. It wasn't like I was hearing Mom, Yeah. And so I start looking around, and I'm like, is there another Jackie here? What is going on? And so I go back to my table, and I'm like, so Anastasia is there, and she's absolutely yelling at me, and she's like, you're up there getting more food, and you're missing the magic. You need to get back over here. You need to sit down. And she's reading me the riot act, and I'm dying, and my kids are hysterical laughing. And so I sit down, and she's like, ugh, I can't believe how rude it is to be getting food while I'm at your table waiting to see you. And I'm just appalled. And I don't know what you think this is. We're supposed to be making plans to take over the castle. And I mean, she just went on and on and on. And my parents were there, and my brother, and the kids were dying. I was dying because everyone in the restaurant was looking at me. And that's not really my thing. I don't really particularly love that, but I couldn't, it was so funny. And then Drizella comes walking over, and she gets in on the harassment too. And then she starts talking to my dad about running off together. And like, she's like going like this and like sneaking because my mom's sitting right there. And she's like, don't pay attention to her. We'll just, we'll just do this. And he had a little bit of balding starting right up here on the top of his head. And before the two of them left our table, she planted a kiss right on the top of his head with a huge red lipstick.
That's cute.
That was just the funniest thing in the world. And I had no idea that kind of thing could even go on. I mean,
yeah.
I felt like I was part of a movie. It was really, really fun. So,
Jackie, thinking about you saying that with the kiss, Ferris got kissed by Mary Poppins on his first visit to the Magic Kingdom.
Oh my gosh.
What a lucky little
things
boy.
like that aren't going to happen anymore, and that makes me sad.
I know. I'm kind of a little like, I'm so sad. Like, because when I think about all of these experiences that we've had that have been just so wonderful, and I think, gosh, how are they ever going to make this happen again? It makes me sad too, Julie. I can't.
Yeah.
I hope they can find a way.
Yeah.
I just don't know how.
I was always a very big fan of the stepsisters. I think that they are more like, I think they're one of those characters that they are way better when you meet them in person than watching the movie. I think that those characters come alive when you meet them in the park. And I used to see them at the Magic Kingdom when they used to roam around. I used to love that. This was like, in like 2007, 2008. And, you could go and being a cast member back then, you could go more often. And then, you could get them to kind of do some funny stuff. And I had some roommates that were in entertainment and whatnot. And they'd be like, okay, well, these characters will be around here. They give you the inside scoop or whatever. And, it'd be funny. I think somebody brought her like a ring pop one day to one of the stepsisters, and they were like pushing each other out of the way, trying to be like, "It's my engagement ring. It's my engagement ring." And like, I don't know. I always thought they said the stuff that was always like so funny and kind of borderline, but I loved it.
Yes.
They're some of the characters I kind of miss seeing as frequently. I feel like
they're
you didn't see them
giant,
as much.
spoiled children.
Yeah.
Of course they're fun to watch.
Yeah.
The best. Oh, it's the best.
It's their mother's fault.
It's their mother. Yeah.
Yes.
I love when it was all three and Lady Tremaine would come out and she'd be so disapproving. I thought it was hilarious.
Oh, that character. Seeing her in person is amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Craig, what's your favorite?
Very similar to you, Rhino. I prefer character meet and greets that are more spur of the moment, random experiences, and this is the best and worst of Walt Disney World, so I'm not going to go bringing Disneyland into it because everyone always yells when we do that, but that's a lot of their style is still set up in that way, and I get it. It doesn't work as well with Walt Disney World, and having indoor meet and greets also helps a lot too with the weather issues and such. So I get it. It's two different places, but there still are some random meet and greets that you can find in Walt Disney World. And my favorite one is when you just happen to be walking around Frontierland right outside of Country Bear Jamboree, and you're able to catch a photo with either Big Al or Wendell or Liver Lips McGraw, and that's kind of my favorite because they don't really spend a lot of time with people. Like they don't go into autographs and such. I mean, maybe they do on slower days, but usually when I see them, they'll stop long enough that you can take a picture or two with them, and then they move on. So they constantly are making sure that everyone who wants a picture with them can get it, and that's what I like. Like, I mean, I am a very impatient man, so I'm that person who's fuming and raging when I like looking down like, this family just took 7 minutes with that one character. Is like, don't they know how many people could have also got their photo if you would have just walked in, got your photo, and walked right out?
To just be a little bug on Corey's shoulder when the two of you are together in the park. The two of you and your impatience.
It's just, I'm sure kids will one day change my perspective on that.
So
but
much for some people.
Craig wants the full grown tree. He doesn't want the seed. Never give him the seed. Give him the treat.
The treat. Yep.
But so yeah, that's I like the quick experiences a lot better than the fully drawn out. Everything needs to be a big production. So that's my favorite. But I will say, just throwing on an honorable mention too. I love the character meet and greets that you can do at like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party. Like, I look back at a lot of the pictures Kylie and I took this past year, and we finally got to meet all of the Winnie the Pooh characters in their Halloween costumes, which that was so much fun. Just because they get really into it because they're also dressed up for the occasion. And then like meeting Stitch in his Elvis costume is just one of those awesome special experiences. So I didn't say those first because obviously you have to travel during a certain time of the year and pay extra money to be able to get those experiences. Right. But that's... as time goes on and we do these Halloween parties and Christmas parties so much, I'm finding out that I enjoy those kind of special experiences during the parties more than like, okay, I need to get a great spot for the parade or to have the ideal spot for fireworks. The meet and greets are actually a lot of fun.
That's your, like we always talk about on the show, that's your shift perspective. You know, when you come here, when you visit Disney so frequently or you live closer to here, you kind of start finding those little things, you know, and that's what's cool about Disney World and Disneyland even is that you know, it's different for everybody. It's like art. Art is subjective, and Walt Disney World is subjective, you know. And so there's things like I say, like I just love to go and eat, and you know, and searching out great character meet and greets is another thing, you know. Especially like Craig said, after you've done a party so many times, now you have that opportunity to do those little things that you miss out on. I actually also. I do agree. I do love the Country Bear Jamboree, like meet and greets, because I love how spread out they'll be. Like they'll take up that whole area over there. And like I watched, one of them, I can't remember which one it was, went over and like started playing chess with somebody that was like sitting at the barrel with the chess thing, and they like didn't know what to do. So it was really funny to watch this like bear come over and be like, and then wait. And I don't think this person actually was playing chess, but they were just sitting there staring at them. I don't know. It's funny, but I like. I do actually have one the same with Craig that is one that was like it's one that sticks out for me that I was lucky enough to attend this DVC party at Hollywood Studios, and Craig was actually there with me, and I got to meet the Ewoks. And I met them in their little village outside of Star Tours The Adventure Continues. And I always think, like, it was the coolest experience for me because when I was a kid, I had not seen the Star Wars movies. I'd only seen the Ewok movies. And so, like, we used to reenact scenes at daycare and everything like that. And I'd make, like, I was the kid Mace who was trying to look for the sister, and I'd make the other kids be the Ewoks and stuff. And it was cool to finally, like, see them in person, and like, you know, the interaction we had was so amazing because like one came over and like sat on my knee when I was kneeling down and out of nowhere, but then like we were with a whole group and we kept coming in and out, and one would like come over and hug me and like stay with me, and I was like, it just gives me this warm thing. But they are definitely a really hard to come by character meet and greet. Another one I really like, and I realized as I was saying it, it's not there anymore, but you can still meet this character, is the Kylo Ren meet and greet that they used to do inside of Launch Bay, and now you can meet Kylo Ren inside of Galaxy's Edge as he does his walk by with the stormtroopers, and I feel like it's just as intimidating. But I was thinking about how the experience of actually meeting him, it never feels super rushed, but it also doesn't feel super long, but how he is a like technically a fur character, I guess you would say, but he speaks. And so it's this crazy, like, there's just enough pause in between whatever he's saying that you feel like, I'm uncomfortable. But they always take the best photos of you where you're meeting him. Like, I have this slew of photos that you can tell I am so awkward and just covering my neck the whole time. I don't know why, because I'm afraid he's going to, like, force choke me or something. But I always think, like, he's such a good character to meet and greet. But one of the best ones, and I feel like it's super underrated, is in Galaxy's Edge. I was there with my mother in October, and my mom was wearing an all-black dress, and I told her before we went in, I'm like, Mom, they're gonna think you're part of the First Order in here. And I don't think she understood what I was saying. And she's seen the movies and stuff, but she has since watched them again, and I don't think she was paying attention to some of them the first time. But she'll be like, I love Star Wars. What are you talking about? But so we're walking around, and it's that general who comes out before Kylo Ren's ship, like, comes out, before he comes out of the ship. There's like a general, and they do the little show, and he does get force choked by Kylo Ren. But he'll wander into the crowd, and that character, whoever that actor is that's playing him, because it's been the same guy like every time I've seen it. I'm sure it's not only one person playing him, but he was so good. Like, I loved watching what he would say to people, because they make comments based on what you're wearing, on all this stuff, and my mom was kind of not paying attention, and I saw him walking toward her, and I was like, oh, it's happening. And he walked up, and she'd be like, what? My mom couldn't understand, so she'd be like, what? Like, he kept talking to her, and then I'd be like, Mom, he thinks you're part of the I had to be like, the Empire, the First Order, the Stormtrooper, and she's like, and I was like, you're wearing this, so I have this like photo of my mother who just like went into this like military pose with this man, and all this stuff he's like whispering to her is so funny. And I just always think like, it's funny that now a lot of us have said, actually every one of us have kind of said, these like character experiences that we kind of roamed and seen. Julie said the princesses at Epcot, and Jackie, you said like when they roam around the dining experience, and Craig said the other thing. I think there's something like extra about those,
Yeah. It's really
like,
fun.
Yeah, it's unexpected.
Like unexpected.
Exactly. Like even when you know it's about to happen, there's still that like it can go either way. And I think it leaves, I don't know, it's like one of those moments where you're just kind of like, you're just thrown into it a little bit more than having to like plan it out or something like that. Because I get really anxious about meeting characters, because I'm like, they hate me, and I don't know what they're like. I always am convinced they hate every person that's walking up there, and they're going to hate me the most. So.
Never.
Oh, no, that's not true.
That's my own issues. But they'll be like, oh, grown man, where are your children? Oh, none? Cool.
Oh my goodness.
I feel like I go back and see them, and they'll be like, any today? And I'll be like, no, still none.
It's only been 24 hours.
Yeah, sorry, Nick Wilde. I'm going to come see you every time I see you.
Oh, he's a good one.
Well, thank you guys for having this conversation, or everybody. I always say guys, and I should say guys and gals.
I feel like guys pertains to everyone, like you guys.
Well, it's a very...
It's like saying you all or y'all.
Exactly, and I refuse to say y'all. I'm sorry, Julie. No, but thank you for having this conversation with me. Thank you, and everyone out there, for listening and watching. If you've got some of your favorite character interactions that we did not go over, or some stories you want to share, please do so. Let us know in the comments below if you're watching this on YouTube. And remember, you can feel free to subscribe to the channel while you're down there. Click that bell. You'll get notified whenever we upload any sort of content or anything like that. And again, if you are planning a trip to Disney at any time soon, please consider using Dreams Unlimited Travel. They will get you started on that trip, and they'll help you out, and it costs you nothing. And like I said in the beginning, it supports us, and it would just be swell. So again, thank you, everyone. We'll see you next time with another episode of The Best and Worst of Walt Disney World.